This is not a ride sharing video. I repeat, this is not a ride sharing video. Okay, we're going to try to make this work. As you see, the video is titled, Would You Bear Arms for President Trump? Now, obviously, folks are going to ask, why the hell would you ask such a question? Why is that what we're posing today? Well, President Trump has suggested if he is indicted, we could have violence in this country. President Trump has stated 2024 will be, quote unquote, the final battle. What do he mean by that? Now, when we say, would you bear arms for Trump, we're contrasting this obviously to January 6th, when many folks believed that democracy was under threat, that the election was being taken from them unfairly. So they were literally fighting for democracy. Nevertheless, if you take up arms for what President Trump is going through via all of these different cases, New York, Georgia, Merrick Garland, you're fighting for Trump, the citizen. At this point, democracy is not at stake. It is the sanctity of President Trump. Now, if you believe he's being railroaded, you are entitled to not at stake. It is the sanctity of President Trump. Now, if you believe he's being railroaded, you are entitled to believe that. We know the justice system routinely railroads other Americans. But would you take up arms? If you, let's say for instance, for shits and giggles, your best friend was railroaded by the local police. The local police is suggesting that they found him with a bag of schmack in his car, and he's swearing up and down to you they planted that evidence. Would you be willing to shoot it out with police in your friend's honor? Because that is what we're dealing with here, is that President Trump is suggesting the charges against him are a witch hunt, and citizens should rise up and fight against the police or fight against the entities railroading the president or the former president himself. This is not about democracy, folks. This is not about an election at this point. So that is the question. Would you take arms for Trump, the citizen, not the president? Currently, he is a citizen of this country. Okay, looking in the comment section, by the way, as always, this is and always will remain a MAGA-friendly program. We do not ban, block, or censor anyone for their commentary. I'll give you plenty of time in the box to state your point without any fear of being banned, blocked, or censored. Going to the comments, only fools would do such a thing. Well, how many fools do we have among us? Wayne Noodle. Forgive me for the damn shirt I'm wearing because I can't read your comments. So I'm going to see if I can hold something up so I can read. Looking in the comments, appreciate the follow there, Larry. Will ATM yourselves. I'm assuming you're saying arm yourselves, Lil Bowcut. But what about arming yourselves in defense of President Trump if he's dealing with a witch hunt? Do you believe if the courts are trying to railroad President Trump as a citizen, not as the president, as a citizen, even if you believe the charges are completely bogus, even if you believe the goal is to prevent him from running for office, do you find that that injustice is worthy enough to take up arms against the United States government in defense of the former president? Let me know in the comments. What the hell did I just click on? It says Rich Wisdom. By the way, folks, tap the screen. Get your boy up to 5,000 likes. You know what we do here. Helps out the algorithms. Brings me more MAGA. The program is and always will remain MAGA. MAGA friendly. MAGA are my preferred guests. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome. What is your thoughts on your last video? Sean Zero. I don't remember what my last video is. Let me know in the comments which video you are referring to, and yours truly, I shall respond. And for you folks who like civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle without any fear of being blocked, banned, or censored, yeah, feel free to follow the program. This is what we do here. Plenty of time in the box to state your case without any fear of censorship. And the fact that you may disagree with the host, what do I always say? That never means a damn thing here. It's not about one person's opinion meaning more than the next. All right, looking in the comments. Trump will be free forever, says Amps277. Yours truly. I do agree with that. I don't see President Trump ever being incarcerated. But that does not mean he won't be charged. That does not mean he won't be convicted. That could happen, and he still could be a free man. I can't possibly see a former president ever being, incarcerated, certainly over what President Trump has allegedly done. I don't see him being incarcerated, but at the end of the day, I don't personally believe that's the goal to begin with. I do believe it is folks that are angry with him for his antics and just simply do not want him to be commander-in-chief again. But I could be wrong. Let your boy know. Going straight to the box, it is Red G. Good afternoon, Red. Back to the program. So what do you think, Red? Would you take up arms for the former president?
Yeah, not because I like Trump, just because what the Democrats are doing is just totally fucking wrong. It's just they're so out of hand with this. If we're gonna look at crimes, we've seen what Bill and Hillary, all of our presidents have done. To talk about a payment and then try to go after somebody who was running for election. If we're gonna talk about an insurrection, this is an insurrection. This
Yeah.
is this
Let me
is
ask you this,
beyond
though.
crazy.
And I get your point, but let me ask you this. Let's say, for instance, an African American drug dealer was facing a ridiculous, overly hyped amount of time, and he could point to a mafia guy that did the same crime and is not facing anywhere near the time. Would you take up arms for that drug dealer? Because I'm asking is because Trump is a citizen right now. I agree with you that many folks believe he is being railroaded or potentially overcharged, but at the end of the day, this is about a regular citizen being railroaded. You'd have to admit regular citizens get railroaded all the time, right?
But you can't really look at it as a regular citizen because it's not a regular citizen. This is a U.S. president and somebody running for election. You can't sit here and just try to lock up anybody who runs for election. Like, we've never done that. If we are gonna do that, we could look at Biden and all his sponsors from Pfizer. We don't talk about drug dealers. Biden just dealt drugs to the whole world. So why are we not locking him
But
up?
yeah, but I'm going to assume that he probably isn't the first candidate that something crooked has been done to prevent from running. I'm going to assume that doesn't begin with President Trump. But so you're suggesting that if he is wrongfully charged, let's say by the Democrats, defending his freedom is worth taking up arms for this one guy?
For anybody. We can't have an election with the government. So, as two black men ourselves, we understand that the law can be wrong. We know this. And so we have to look at morality. How are you going to take somebody who's running from election, who you really lost the election to, according to him? Some people say you did, some people say you didn't. The Democrats have lost to this person, and sit here right before an election and lock him up. It makes you look bad. It
So
looks you if you beat him in the election and then did it, say after 2025, then did it after he lost. Okay, you can't sit. You're gonna wait till 2024 almost, and then try to lock him up and then start court.
but what if you
Absolutely not.
what if you beat him in the election and he said it was stolen again?
Then you can lock him up after the election, not before an election.
Yeah, but what if he suggests that they didn't beat me in the election? Now they're trying to lock me up. They just stole another election from me. How do you address that?
Well, I mean, first of all, I think we have to look at this stuff seriously. I don't think anybody should say, oh, conspiracy theory or any of that stuff and then not look at the evidence. Obviously, we have to look at the evidence and
Yeah,
determine if this is true or false. And
yeah,
then based on that, we go from there. But even if they were to lock him up, people are still going to vote for him. So if he wins the vote and he's locked up, he's not a president. That's the leader of the executive branch of the government. You have
right.
absolutely no place taking any executive action as a serious ticket runner for somebody who could be about to be president.
So when you suggest looking at the evidence, right now, there is a Dominion voting machine issue going on because the Trump campaign were suggesting that the votes were being switched from Trump to Biden, and it looks like they are losing significantly in that Dominion court case. If the evidence comes out to suggest they made that up and that the Dominion machines never switch votes to Biden, how would you view that?
I mean, I don't know where he got the information from. So he's got higher security clearance than I do. I have no
Right.
idea about how that stuff goes. But if he loses in court, then it is what it is. He already the time is over anyway. You can't
Yeah, but
redo
you're
the
not.
last 4 years.
Let me clarify it. They suggested that the machines were stealing votes from them and giving them to Biden. If the evidence comes out that that is not true, meaning they released false information, and a lot of folks potentially took up arms or at least were seriously angry about that claim. If that claim does not turn out to be true, do you hold Trump and the Trump administration accountable for essentially releasing false information?
Not exactly. There's a lot of legal ways to dance around that. So it could be okay. Well, it didn't steal these votes and do it. It could be it just inputted extra stuff. That if the machine if there was something wrong with the machines in any way, shape, or form, or if there was if it was election meddling is what I would look at. Not just if it switched this from that or. Well, I mean, you want to really encompass everything that could have happened, not just one single thing.
Well, based on what you're saying, though, and I do understand what you're saying, every single presidential candidate in history could make the same claims because no election is 100% accurate. There is always going to be little tiny cheating here or there or somewhere else. Every election is like that when you're talking 300 plus million people voting. So if we're allowed, so in other words, when Hillary Clinton made claims that Trump stole the election from her, based on your explanation, she was correct too.
Well, so the Democrats have done this way more than the Republicans. I mean, we remember Al Gore. Al Gore legitimately won the election. He legitimately won, and then they did a recount, and then Bush won. So this isn't the first time this has happened. So I don't think it's fair to only point the finger here and say, hey, you're doing this because I mean it does happen and it looks a little fishy every time. I was like, that's kind of questionable when Trump won. Same thing with Gore. I mean, we have this all the time. Of course, there's going to be disagreements when you're talking about an entire country, when you're talking about all the electorate. So I think it's fair to look into it, even though at this point it's really too late. What are you going to do about it?
So, how do you respond to President Trump suggesting that if he is indicted, there could be violence? Do you now? You
There
suggested yourself
absolutely will be violence. Not that there absolutely will.
against who? Against who?
Against that, there's people. So I'm from Michigan. I live in Minnesota, but I'm from Michigan. There's still people picketing for Trump, which is batshit crazy to me. That's
So,
batshit
if the
crazy to me.
government,
But
hang on a second. So, if the government of New York, that city government out there, indicts him for that whole Stormy Daniels campaign funds, and you said there's going to be violence, who are going to be the victims of the violence?
probably so again, I'm in Minnesota. I seen the George Floyd riots up close and personal. I promise you, I guarantee you, seen the January 6th insurrection. Like, how do you think there's not going to be violence?
That's not what I'm asking you, though. There has to be two sides to a team. Who is on the other side? We know if the Trump supporters are going to be implementing the violence, who are the victims of that violence?
I don't want to call them Trump supporters because you're really just supporting America. This cannot be done. We can. This is Putin handbook. This you
Okay.
cannot do this in a democratic society.
But you would have to admit anybody that is getting involved in violence because Trump is wrongfully indicted, if they believe that, they're all Trump supporters. You wouldn't assume any Biden supporter is going to be out there committing violence on behalf of Trump, would you?
Even the Hillary supporter, when Trump was out there, lock her up, lock her up. No, if you fucking lock her up during a goddamn election, you are literally defiling everything we stand for as a democratic republic. It doesn't matter
So
which
you
side
say
it
that.
is.
So when Trump was calling for Hillary Clinton to be locked up, you're saying that what he was doing was unpatriotic?
I'm telling you, yeah, that the left there would be violence. There is violence in the streets. You literally look at
No,
Antifa.
no,
You
no.
look
But
at
I'm asking you. I'm asking you. According to you, it's wrong to lock somebody up when they're running for office. When Trump was calling for Hillary Clinton to be locked up simultaneously while she was running for office, do you believe the calls from Trump were unpatriotic?
absolutely. But so the thing is, he's saying after I'm elected, lock her up.
He
Not
didn't say that. He
not
never said
lock her up. No,
that.
he
He never
literally
used those
said
words.
he said on the podium, we can all go look at it. If I'm elected, I'm gonna lock her up. Granted, he didn't do it. That was another lie, but he did. That is what he said.
Okay. Do you think, with you admitting his actions were unpatriotic, do you believe he should be put back in as commander in chief?
No, I would not like to see Trump or Biden become president. We have to get some seriously better options. Some seriously better, because this is crazy. This is actually crazy. 288, what are they going to be? 83 years old? We got one going for World War III. This guy literally, I've never seen all so many lockdowns and shutdowns. No, this is terrible.
It's a fair conversation, Red. I got to move it on, but hey, you are consistent. I will give you that. You are consistent. You're always welcome back. Good conversation, man. Come on back through anytime. Okay, looking in the comments, what does that say? Nobody, oh, I wanted to read that comment. Nobody is dumb enough to run. That's a good person. Farmer, well, the problem is, even if you are a good person and when you run for office, people will dirty you up. I mean, I don't, somebody like, shit, Mitt Romney. I mean, is Mitt Romney really dirty? I'm not a fan of Mike Pence, but do you really think Mike Pence has a hell of a lot of skeletons in his closet? My guess is that guy has been a hardcore Christian most of his life. I don't think Mike Pence would have a lot of skeletons in his closet, but if he runs for office, I bet they make some of them up. Obama was fairly clean when he ran for office. That's why when you notice when he ran for office, they had to go after his pastor for saying things. They didn't really bring anything up from Obama's past that was negative. They started going after the people he associated with. He must have been around Farrakhan, or he must have been around his pastor, or he happened to be born in another country. There was really nothing in Obama's past of any significance. So you can run as a good person, but just understand either they're going to find what's in your closet or they're going to put something in there. All right, looking in the comments. Oh, shit. Okay, they hated his tan suit. Yeah, do M3 a solid. If you've seen the Daily Show clip on how Fox News in particular were criticizing President Obama for simply wearing a brown suit. Anybody on the MAGA side, my beloved MAGA, anybody that believes Trump gets railroaded and they bring up some of the pettiest shit, that whole tan Obama suit thing probably takes the cake on that. Why vote? None of them represents us. Trump excluded. So, looking in the comments here quick, holding my glove up, Riverboat Queen, love the name. You're suggesting there is no reason to vote because nobody represents us with the exception of Trump. So, for some reason, you believe Trump does represent us. I would love to hear that. Billionaire many times over, able to borrow $1 million from his father. How does that represent the average American? How can the average American relate to something like that? Let me know. Let me go back to the box. We'll keep it moving with Lock Talks. Good afternoon. The question we're asking is, would you take up arms for Trump, the citizen? Because what he's going through right now, he's going through as a citizen, not the president. Good afternoon, Lock Talks.
How you doing? How you doing? Well, that question, unequivocally, no. For any feds listening, no, I'm not going to go take up arms for the former president. That's insane. Okay.
Right. Well, my last
but
caller.
so the I
my
have a
last
good.
caller.
No, I have a good. I want to expand on that, but I think why you're asking it is because there isn't we've never really seen a man that Oh, whoa, sorry. Watch another live. You're currently watching. Cancel. Yeah, we've never seen like a political figure that's been able to just call on, like he said, hey, like they stole our, or they took our I don't want to say that word. I don't want to get kicked off here, but they took our election. Like
I get it.
go
I get
show
it.
up and
We
go
understand.
show them you're mad. And what happened? 500,000 people showed up. Like that's awesome.
But what about well, wait a minute. What about the idea when it came to the Capitol on January 6th, he said go peacefully? Are you suggesting he told them to go and be violent?
No. I think I believe well, yeah, he said go peacefully, but if he did say, you know what, we're not leaving, go take it over and like, let's hold it down. I honestly do think they probably would have done it. It would have been awful. They would have shot and killed hundreds of people. They would have been terrible. But I do believe that his supporters would have
But
been like, yeah,
but you're suggesting, yeah, but what you're suggesting, if they're willing to kill on command, you're suggesting cold.
sorry, I you hitched there. You repeat that?
I said, if you're suggesting that they are willing to go kill on command, it sounds like you're suggesting that there is a cult.
Well, I wouldn't say it's a cult because he's kind of the only guy that's like being like, so this whole witch hunt with the arrest thing kind of gives it a lot of credibility and verification to that he is like a constituent fighting for the individual, and he's not like a swamp sort of creature that he's ran on in 2016 because of the frivolous attacks coming from like the DOJ and stuff like that. So I think it's
Yeah.
like grassroots support. So like it's not like a cult when like people resonate with the political figure.
Yeah. So he suggested that if he gets indicted, there could be violence. Now, my last caller apparently agrees that if he's indicted, there could be violence. Do you agree as well?
Well, I was listening to that, and I disagree that Trump supporters are going to roll into your local suburbias and start causing violence like you saw with BLM. Like when the left get angry, they destroy their own businesses, their neighborhoods, their communities. When the right gets angry, they storm the Capitol building. So that's a little bit different. I don't think we're going to go see Trump supporters go burning down their neighbors' houses or like beating like their neighbors in the street. Like that's not going to happen.
So so when he alluded to there could be violence, what I was asking him is if there is violence, who is on the other side? Who are the victims of the violence? He didn't quite clearly give me an answer. What would be your take on it? Who would be the victims of the violence?
Well, so my take on the whole Trump thing calling for like, so when he said go and protest, go make your voice heard, someone like me who's like a adult thinking, high discernment level person, I would go, the last time you called for that, there was a pretty obviously a Fed honeypot. All your constituents got locked up, and now you didn't really pardon them. You pardoned Kodak Black and Lil Wayne, and you didn't really mention it until who said it? That Kanye brought it up and said he wanted to pardon the prisoners, the J6 constituents or the J6 prisoners, and then Trump went and said, okay, now I want to, and he ran on it, and he ended up showing the video. So I would anyone who's listening that's even considering that, I would be very, very careful when you go, even to just go out and peacefully protest, because the last time it was obviously it didn't work out for you, and you didn't have any support.
Now, this weekend, I believe down in Waco, Texas, President Trump told his supporters 2024 will be, quote unquote, the final battle. What do you think he means by suggesting that our next election will be the final battle?
Okay, so what do you think? What my take on that is, I kind of agree that like America we're on a downward this trend too, and we're going to a very bad place. In 25 years, we're not really going to have a country worth living in. We need major change. So I think he's referencing to like, if we don't make a change now, make pivotal change, start moving in a different direction where we're going now, there's really not going to be a country worth living in. So that, to me, is a final battle that needs to happen to save our country.
Is that what you think of in terms of once again, when it comes to a battle, there are teams. So if we're in a battle as of 2024, who is on the other side? Who is the opposing force? What represents the opposing force in a battle?
So when I think of Donald Trump, I think of the media. I think of all of the people who call themselves Republicans, who stabbed him in his back, the people in his administration. And then you could just look at how the left reacted to him. So like that was obviously a conflict. And then, and there's your two sides right there. And then also every
Well,
single
okay, so when you
corporation, you have
say
all the corporations lobbying, standing in line with all these democratic policies, bending the knee to Black Lives Matter. They're doing everything they can to just play for one side, and then you have the opposition that's completely bombarded and attacked.
give me an example of a Republican. You said Republicans have stabbed them in the back. Give me some
Yeah.
examples of
Okay.
some
Some
Republicans you believe that stabbed.
like McCarthy. I'm kind of like bored of all these people because
McCarthy, wait a minute. McCarthy was the first person to reach out to President Trump after January 6th when nobody would speak to him. Yet you say McCarthy stabbed him in the back?
I mean, how many? There's a laundry list of Republicans that denounced January 6th, said that he should be, thrown. Like, off the top of my head, honestly, I have to dive back into it. But I mean, are we really denying that like Trump had full control? Like when I think of the Democratic Party, everyone's in line. They all vote 100% in line. But with the Trump Republican House, it wasn't like that.
That's not.
You
Wait a
had
minute. You think that Christian Sinema and the guy governor from West Virginia, Manchin, those are Democratic senators. You think they vote 100% in line with the Democrats?
when it comes to like major issues, 100%, and like the frivolous, like you know.
Yeah, like the George Floyd bill, tuition assistance. Those are major issues with Joe Biden, and they didn't support him.
Yeah, I guess I would have to look back at those things, but there was definitely major problems with
Okay.
that stuff.
All
I
right.
mean, when we're talking about
All right.
specific
That's fair. That's fair.
stuff like that, I mean, I'm just talking in general consensus.
Okay.
It's like it's well known and documented that the Democrats are well more unified than the Republican Party. You can just look at to the last vote in the Speaker of the House.
Why is that?
Why is that?
Why do you believe? Yeah.
Okay, so I think most of these neocon establishment Republican type people that you say that are completely for this war in Ukraine and completely, I think they're just kind of playing their part, doing their job, and then they're kind of supporting. Hey, stop eating that. They're doing what they're told by their donors and the lobbyists, these super powerful, the banksters. That's the same thing that the people doing on their left. They're playing their role. They're being their opposition to the Republican. But when it comes down to like all these stuff that, when it comes to taking away our personal freedoms or selling us out for wars or installing regimes in other countries, all these people pretty much all vote in line with the stuff that a majority of people disagree with. Like 80% of people disagree with this.
Yeah. Well, what I gotta move it on, but before I do, I have to ask the question of Trump promised to drain the swamp and clear and get rid of a lot of the mess you're talking about. Why, after an entire term, are we still talking about the same stuff, the same swamp creatures that are around in the Republican Party? He promised to get rid of this stuff.
Yeah, I hear you, but I mean, what are you gonna do? That's how it works with the voting, and like, you can't just say like, what are you gonna do? Suspend the legislator, kick all these congressmen out? Sorry, I'm in charge now. It'd be cool, but you can't really do it that way.
So, in other words, you're suggesting a promises made, promises not kept.
Well, he's definitely he didn't have I don't think he had a fair shake at the whole presidential shot. Like his administration sucked. Like the people that put around him were terrible. Is that an excuse? No. He was fighting a lot of, impeachment
But
stuff.
that is your job, is to use the team you have to win games. As a coach, you don't get to come in and complain about the players on your team. Your job is to make that a winning team. He promised to drain the swamp and do this stuff. He failed at doing it. I mean, do we point that out when he's talking about promises made, promises kept? Do we point out that he failed at that?
Oh yeah, Trump's failed at a bunch of stuff, but it's not to say like who do we got? Like we're not like who's better? DeSantis? No, we don't want that guy. That guy's gonna. He just said yesterday that the Ukraine war. He's like Putin needs to be punished for what? What? Who wants? Why do I want to punish Putin? And then
So what would you do? Let me ask you that. That's a good point you just made. So I have to ask you, would you suggest that we allow Putin to just take over the Ukraine?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely, we should.
Yeah. Why would I intervene militarily to? Okay, so we're barely the strongest country in the world as is, and there's really shaky relations with Russia and China. India, Saudi Arabia, they're all talking about getting off the petrodollar now. We knew this was coming even long before this. And this was obviously just a highway express route to that. So if we're going to demonize Russia and make them an adversary, it would only be logical to think, who China's going to start wheeling and dealing with them. Saudi Arabia is going to start wheeling and dealing. Do I really think the Nazis in Ukraine who ate their own children when there was a minor famine back in World War II or whatever, do I think we should give up
but
the
what about
sovereignty of our country and sell out the future generations of our children to protect them? Absolutely not.
What about the fact that they're suggesting that Putin is guilty of war crimes? Women are being sexually assaulted, children are being killed. Do you just ignore all of that?
Well, yeah, that's not to say there's not evil in the world, and this app is a great example of that. You can scroll through in one video, and
so what would you suggest? What would you, if you admit that there's evil in the world, what's happening, and that this guy may be a war criminal, what would you suggest the U.S. do?
You could put out a statement and say, like, that's very bad, we disavow, and, and say no, and that's about it.
You sound like a liberal prosecutor at that point. There's no meat behind that. That's very bad. That's all you're going to say?
Yeah, dude. There's problems we got going on here. Why should I go start a thermonuclear war with this guy who you think is crazy for some people who will sell me out in a second?
Sorry. So in other words, we should basically do nothing in regards to the war crime. I gotta move it on. Is this our first time talking?
No, I've popped in here before.
Okay. All right. Well, it's good to have you back. I gotta move it on, though, man. Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
All right. Absolutely nothing. Now, if you see a school or a playground being bombed on television, release a statement. That was bad. Wow, I can't believe you blew all those kids up. That's awful. Stop it. Or what is the guy on the insurance? Oh, not in my house. Anyway, let me keep it going. As always, folks, I don't ban, block, or censor anyone. The fact that I might disagree with you never means a damn thing here. Obviously, me and the last guest politically would probably not agree on much, but I do believe in preserving his First Amendment free speech rights, which is why I don't ever censor or block anyone for their commentary. You don't have to agree with the host. You shouldn't be required to agree with the host to state your opinion. Your opinion is yours, and nobody has a right to control that. Tap the screen, get your boy up to 15,000 likes. I appreciate you guys rolling with me on TikTok. Now, we're going to go back into the topic, which is, would you be willing to take up arms for citizen Trump? Because he's going through legal cases as a citizen and suggested that there will be violence if he's indicted. This is not about losing an election. This is not about stolen democracy. The guy is a citizen right now. Nevertheless, while we're discussing this, I do understand and am aware of the mass casualty event that just took place earlier today at a school, an elementary school in Nashville. I'm waiting for the facts to come out. Right now, I seen on CNN, they refer to it as several patients. So I don't know if any of these elementary school children have lost their lives, but we have had another mass casualty event at another American school, Nashville, Tennessee. All right, going back to the comments section. Anyone who takes up arms for Trump are traitors to America. Strong statement. 26 injured in regards to that Tennessee event I see in the comments. We don't know who lived and died, but that will end up probably being discussed tomorrow, and we'll all be, hoping and praying for the best. By the way, just before I go back to the box, I am so sick of hearing the phrase thoughts and prayers. If there was ever a prayer that is not answered, it is the one that involves praying for children that are victims of mass casualty events at their school. Clearly, this will keep happening. So clearly, praying for these children that are shot up at schools is a useless prayer. I hate to refer to prayers as useless. I understand a lot of my audience believes in God. I have Christians out there, so the idea that a prayer could be useless might be insulting to you. I understand that. I sympathize with that belief. But praying for children that are victims of violence at their schools, the prayer alone is not helping these kids. Just want to go back to the box. We'll talk about that one probably coming up tomorrow. Nevertheless, we'll keep it moving with Liberty RX. Good afternoon, Liberty. Welcome to the program. Change laws. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Liberty. Good
Hey,
afternoon. Hey,
good afternoon.
welcome. Hey, so we're asking the question. Good to have you on. Would you? I think I know the answer, but I'll put it out there anyway. Would you be willing to take up arms for Trump, the citizen, if you thought he was being railroaded in the criminal justice system?
I can't even see the scenario where arms would be necessary. Like, why wouldn't we just act like Democrats do?
Well, here's the scenario. Let's say, for instance, they do get him with this case here in New York, and they bump it up to a felony in which it should barely be a misdemeanor. Some would argue that the statute of limitations have even expired. But for some reason, they get it through as a felony, and it prevents him from running for office. They're doing this to a citizen, though. They're not doing it to the president. Would you be willing to take up arms to protect somebody that's been mistreated by the system?
But to do what? Like to go and you can't go to the federal jail and do anything. I mean, you're painting some sort of picture that is not even tactically reasonable.
I don't see how you would suggest that. Did you see what happened in Michigan when they had the mask mandates and they went into the Michigan state capitol with firearms? Did you see what happened on January 6th? There
Okay,
is something you could do.
so you would do what Democrats have done and go to state capitals, and Democrats have done that, and they've stood in a state capitol. Democrats have gone up.
Uh,
So I wouldn't particularly do it. You've seen Democrats go and you remember that police station? I think it was in Washington, like Seattle, and they were trapped in there. Those police officers were trapped in there, and those Democrats were outside. So I don't see
yes.
Republicans doing that. I don't see any sort
What
of
do you think
MAGA
happened on
Republicans
January?
doing that. So
Okay.
I wouldn't,
Now,
because tactically,
okay.
that's not how you tactically would even approach this. It isn't. Right? I mean, would we riot? I mean, Democrats rioted for Rodney King, Democrats rioted for George Floyd. I do not see MAGA Republicans doing that.
What do you think happened on January 6th? What do you refer to that as?
Riots definitely break out in situations. I mean, every parent needs to teach their child how a riot breaks out. And what we could see is I don't know any MAGA person or Republican who thinks that's what happened, that you're trying to stop a vote. You can't do that. I mean, I guess I maybe have an intelligent group of friends. You cannot stop the electoral college tally by walking into or taking over the Capitol. So
So let
I
me let me present it to you again. I get what you're saying. I understand your explanation, but looking at what took place on January 6th, what was that to you? What happened? How would you describe it?
I'd say that riots break out because some.
I'm asking you, if my car is smoking and I ask the mechanic what went wrong, you go, well, cars break down. No, I want to know what's wrong with my car. What happened on January 6th specifically? You're talking about riots break out.
Yeah,
That's all sorts of different events. What happened to that one event? What happened on January 6th?
that a riot broke out. Like that's what happens sometimes in
Okay.
protests. Things get overheated, and you see right at the front that a riot breaks out, windows are broken. But you also saw that Capitol Police were escorting people through doors, and people were milling about. We can watch the video. So you keep asking me. You sound like a conspiracy theorist to me.
Well, I'm just trying to get a clear answer to the question because, like I said, when you say riots break out, that's plural. That means you're talking about things that are not in relation to what I'm asking you about.
Yeah,
I'm
they
asking you
are.
what
I mean,
happened.
what happens in a riot situation, you need to make sure that you teach your children to get out of these situations. I've been in one. There was a person instigating and something I'm like, "Why are you doing this to my friend?" My friend was involved and I told another friend to go call to run off and get the police because these people had a reason to divert and they created the situation and I could recognize it. I actually met the instigators later. This was in line to get tickets, people for a big event, and we were actually in the front, and these were ticket brokers. I met them later and they're like, yeah man, sorry about that. So you have to teach your children these
So,
situations. You have to teach them to not be in it. So the people at the
Okay.
front that were closer, you could definitely see how things get out of control. One punch is thrown. The next thing you know, a whole bunch of stuff is happening. And everyone, every parent, every adult needs to understand how that happens and make sure that you exit. And that's
So
what happened. You
do
sound to
you
me like
believe
a
the,
conspiracy theorist that
yeah.
you want it to be a lot more, but everyone
Okay,
knows
I'm,
that
ma'am,
you can't take over the
I'm just
electoral
asking you the
college this
questions.
way.
Yeah, I'm just asking you the questions. I'm not trying to get a conspiracy out of it, but I'm asking you your honest opinion. So what happened on in regards to what happened on January 6th? Any idea why Trump referred to it as a love fest if you're calling it a riot?
Um, which part of it? I mean, you know, people take things out of context regularly. There were a lot of
He
people
didn't
there.
call any of
So
it a
the
riot.
majority, real quick, the majority of people, so 99% of them didn't do it, weren't involved in anything. They were in another part of it. And so he was still speaking when things started. So I don't know what he was referring to. Again, you sound like a conspiracy theorist.
Okay, we've gotten it clear that you hear me as a conspiracy theorist. I
Yeah.
understand that. If
You're
you
trying to make something out of something to impose a label on some people to advance your political ideals. It's a strategy, it's a political strategy. I think it's kind of an abhorrent one personally, but I know that it ends up on I've been in politics and you will find strategy documents with express strategies like yours listed. And you keep using
okay,
those words because
that's
you want
fine.
to label
That's
a group
fine.
of people as bad. So if any other riot breaks out, you see MAGA, they're fascists, they're white nationalists, there's this. So people put that label. So now MAGA, right? People are triggered. And so this is why riots break out because someone from behind the whole
Okay,
crowd comes
I
over and
get
they
that
take it
you, okay,
upon
wait, let me
themselves to do.
respond. I get that you see me as a conspiracy theorist. The fact that you're willing to continue communicating, I'm willing to wear that label. I'm not going to argue
Yeah,
with
you
you. What?
guys do it to
Okay, so
Republicans all the
so
time.
I have to ask you this then. If you're talking about the vast majority of folks present on January 6th were peaceful, but yet you admit a few of them rioted, how do you view Trump promising to potentially look into pardons for those who did go in jail for rioting?
Because Kamala Harris did the same thing for some rioters before. I see no problem with that. The rioters like so in Seattle, Washington, like so you realize that
Did
big
you
time
agree with
Democrats
her?
were there to
Did
get
you
them
agree
out.
with what she did? Did you agree with what she did?
Um, you know something, I believe it's a tactic. It isn't one that I would do because there's kind of the thing that behind it is here's the reason. If you go out and you tell people no justice, no peace, right? That was the message from the Democrats. No
Right.
justice, no peace. It was very clear all summer long. I would have to say if you're going to go and get people to take action, right? I think you should be there to get them out of jail. Yes.
So when Trump said, let's go to the Capitol building and I will be there with you, the fact that he didn't go, are you suggesting he should get those people out?
He said, I know that you're going to continue on to the Capitol. He said, I know you're going to continue on to the Capitol. Let's keep it peaceful. So again, you're trying to impose something on him.
That is
Sure,
not what was
it's
said.
his
Wait a
party.
minute.
People, okay,
You're misquoting the guy.
people
He
have
didn't
been
say
in jail
that.
for a year. People have been in jail for 3 years. If you don't think that that's appalling, then we
Well,
definitely are
you're
enemies because
giving quotes that are incorrect. He didn't
no,
say what you just quoted.
well, let's bring his quote up. I mean, you want to
Okay.
have some sort of leverage here, and it's not working with me. Because
I
you have
believe
to
that. I
understand, people
believe
have been
that.
in jail for 3 years. For 3 years because Democrats have lied about it being an insurrection. This is a travesty of civil liberties. And I would be as passionate as I am with my words if it was Obama supporters. It was anybody. The equality is equality. Justice under the law is blind. And right now we have political prisoners. And look at your face. You do not care about people. You care about your own team.
Okay,
Everybody
that's
should be
serious.
upset with what's going on, but you don't because, see, there's an us versus them. Look, it's a basic human nature thing.
So how did you feel when Trump was suggesting that Barack Obama should not be president because he was born in a different country. Were you upset then?
Yeah, I actually argued that often for Obama. But what I was arguing for is I really hate when that tactic is used. I also know that it was a written tactic in John Podesta's files on the campaign for Hillary Clinton. You have to understand, I've been in politics and I'm very well connected. I had friends working on Hillary Clinton's campaign then. I don't like tactics like that. But here's the thing, technically, and I didn't know the law. So at least what happened was, while I was defending Barack Obama, I was like, I'm not certain that I even understand the qualifications, and I learned a whole lot from that. So most definitely I was defending Barack Obama for that. I was
So
wrong.
is it safe to
By the way, I
say,
turned out to be wrong, but it
yeah,
was a bad political game, and I don't like politics like
you
that.
turned out to be wrong how? You turned out to be wrong how?
Um, Well, the reason I even learned is because McCain, right? So McCain wasn't born in the United States either, but it was U.S. It's considered U.S. soil, and then it was Ted Cruz. So natural born citizen. If you go back to the original intent of citizen, it took a long time to figure this for me to study this. So you can go to Cornell Law, and you can read all of the discussions about this. It's super interesting. And look, nobody follows this anymore, but natural born citizen means to two citizens of the United States.
So
So
where do you believe Obama was born?
um, it doesn't matter where he was born. It matters that both
That's
of
what
his
we're
parents
having
were
a
citizens.
conversation. So are you suggesting that you won't even tell me where you believe he's born?
Oh, I actually don't know. If it wouldn't matter if he was born in Kenya. It wouldn't matter.
He
That's what
says
I'm
he's
trying to
born in
say.
Hawaii. Obama claims he was born in Hawaii. Do you believe that?
Sure, I'd take him on his word. It wouldn't matter though. I'm trying to tell you, that wouldn't matter. It's about the both parents being American citizens.
Okay. All
Yeah, it
right.
doesn't
Fair
matter
enough.
to me. I defended him left and right. Totally.
Okay. So based on what you're saying, you're being somewhat consistent, pointing out tactics that are wrong on both sides. You're pointing out Kamala Harris doing something that's happened on the other side. Based on what our conversation has kind of led me to believe is that Trump is actually, whether you think it's wrong or right, facing a lot of the same things he did to other people.
That's so general. I don't know what you mean.
Well, you're pointing out him wrongfully. We're talking about him wrongfully trying to disqualify a president based on incorrect information. Now somebody's trying to disqualify him. You pointed out riots and things the
What?
Democratic Party is doing. Now
I
you're
don't
pointing out riots the Republicans
I
are
don't
doing.
why was it wrong that he was doing a political maneuver that Hillary Clinton actually was doing?
But you're essentially saying we can do wrong just because somebody else is doing wrong. Either you are morally correct or you're not. You
Well,
don't look at
no.
somebody else robbing a
No,
bank and say, well, since they
here's what
robbed it, I'll do it too.
no, here's what I'm doing. I'm not going to hold a standard you don't hold. You can't go and point fingers at me when you were doing the same exact thing. That's what I'm
Yeah,
doing
that's what I'm
here.
saying. You're not judging somebody based on morals. You're judging based on whataboutism. You can't point my wrong if you've done it too.
It's
You're
not what
talking
it,
about whataboutism.
it's not whataboutism. At some point, I have to accept that that's the way some political games are played, and I don't want to participate. But you
Yeah.
don't get
What is
to. No, no,
whataboutism to
no.
you?
Here's the thing. You want
What is
to.
your definition of whataboutism?
You think it's okay to win and say that look what you guys did, but the whole thing is when you were talking about draining the swamp, Obama failed then, right? Obama failed draining the swamp. Biden's
He never
failing. I
promised
mean,
to do it.
you're
He
putting
never
some.
promised to do it.
Well, so what? That means that you're putting something. You're telling another team they failed when you weren't even trying to do it, so you don't even know what it takes to do it. And so you're going to sit there in
So
judgment.
so when
Look, no, you
Trump
have to understand.
so
I don't take an
so
outside
Trump
committee
failed so Trump
judgment.
fails at draining the swamp, and your response is, well, Obama failed at it too. And you don't call that whataboutism at all.
I'm telling you that you're sitting there in judgment of other people doing stuff while you're just sitting there doing nothing about it. And
Okay.
that's what
All right.
hypocrites do.
All right. All right. I'm a conspiratorial hypocrite.
Oh
Liberty,
yeah,
appreciate you coming
no.
on.
let's
I
just be
gotta move it on. I'll give you the last
let's be
word. I'll
on
give
let's
you the
be
last word.
honest.
Go ahead.
Let's be honest. You're acting like an authoritarian. Everybody has a boss that acts this way, or a boss that allows an outside committee to come in and judge the team. And you're like, wait a second. As an employee, you're going, those people don't even. I get to tell you that you're bad, and that isn't cool to me. I don't let that happen to my family, right? I don't sit there letting another parent judge my child, right? So you do it so that person is implicated and labeled, and that's an actual dirty political strategy. I'd suggest that you just move away from it if you want to be a good man. I don't do that, which is why I could defend Obama, right?
Okay. Come on back through
All right.
anytime. I
Thank
appreciate the conversation. All right. Looking at this. Listen, folks, as always, what do I say in every single broadcast? I do not ban or block someone simply because I disagree with them. I would assume, based on that conversation, that virtually everyone listening could tell me and her did not agree on a single issue. But that doesn't mean she didn't have the right to speak, and she is always welcome back. I think some of her theories and conversation is wild, far out in space. I'm sure she thinks the same of mine. Nevertheless, I would talk to her any day of the week again. This program is and always will remain MAGA friendly if you enjoy civilized dialogue. Emphasis on civilized sometimes. Follow the program. This is what we do here at 11:30 a.m. Liberals are welcome as well. Tap the screen, get your boy up to 20,000 likes. I am chuckling because I see the comments coming in. Richie Evans says she is not all there. Come on, be nice to my guest. I'm looking for my damn glove because I can barely read your comments. Okay, I'm going to try to read them. My shirt makes it difficult to read, but she's not all there. That's debating. That's what we do. That's what we try to do here, David. Let's keep it going. We'll go to Greg's house. That was an interesting conversation. I'm assuming you guys found that entertaining. Yours truly, I certainly did as well. Greg's house, if it lets you in, you got cooked, says Richard. Rich. Hey, by the way, folks, as someone who never on this program made
I'm
out to
here.
be a
I'm here.
hang on a second, Greg. I've never
I'm
made it
here.
to made myself out to be a
I'm here.
know-it-all. If I get cooked in a debate, that is fine. That happens. That is the whole purpose of a debate.
Okay.
It's to exchange ideas and opinions. Greg, good afternoon. Greg, are you there?
Good
Okay, we'll give
afternoon.
him a sec. There
I'm
you go.
listening to
Okay,
the last two callers, and I'm thinking, I don't know where they're. Yeah, I'm here.
go
Can you
ahead.
hear me?
Yeah,
All
loud
right.
and clear.
So I'm listening to the last two callers, and I'm trying to figure out where they're living because they're clearly not in reality. She is saying that January 6th was a false flag, essentially. I don't even know what her argument was there, that there's political prisoners. Um, the last caller before that was a Putin sympathizer. So here's the thing. Here's what I want to say. I don't have a lot of time. So on Saturday, the former president of the United States had a rally in Waco, which was the site
Yes,
of David Koresh,
right.
and it was during the anniversary of the siege. Okay. He is acting like he is under attack by the government, like David Koresh. This is all a dog
Mm.
whistle, and it's exactly what he wants. He wants his base to defend him because he's going to be indicted for multiple crimes. So the reality of this is that is all that was. And if these people want to continue to deny the reality of the situation, they certainly can. We can talk about this all the time. I cannot believe that guest two before me said something along the lines of Putin being uh, like he's not going to step on the show. Like he almost like defended Putin, and I almost
Yeah,
I
yeah.
almost spit out my water. I almost spit out my water. I was like, what the hell is going on here? What is wrong with this? These people
Well, let
need
me ask you this.
deprogrammed so badly.
Let me ask you this. Why do you think there is such apparently strong support for Vladimir Putin from Trump supporters? I've encountered a bunch of them that talk like that.
Well, because it's just they need a strong man in their lives, right? They love this idea of having a guy who tells them what to do. They love the idea of um, having a an authoritarian figure, and it's really sad that there is this wing of the Republican Party who has gone this direction. I cannot believe that my grandfather fought in World War II, and we have people today who are supporting overthrowing democracy, who are standing there and just acting like Putin is a good person and someone we should be friendly with. And it's
Well,
just I'm so sick of it.
well, you gotta admit that Trump on day one spoke favorably of Putin from the beginning, so that may have something to do with it because
Oh, we
Trump has
know
never
that. I
really
mean,
spoken negatively.
we know that he was going to put a hotel in Moscow, the whole story. But
Yeah.
I mean, the reality of this is that it's just extremely sad that this is where these folks have gone. She's saying she's trying to justify Kamala Harris bailing people out of a protest in Oregon to compare it to January 6th. Where are you living? That was not the same thing at all. It was not.
Yeah,
No justice, no
she was
peace is
throwing
not the same.
yeah, she was throwing so many pitches at me I couldn't swing at all of them. I mean, like I had to get hit by a pitch occasionally. She was throwing a lot of pitches, so yeah, when she threw up the
There
Kamala
there
Harris
are
thing,
no dou- there there are no double standards. It's called you're in a cult, and that's the reality of it. If that's what you want to be in, and you want to support a man who is no longer going to be the face of this party and is going to go down swinging and be a martyr, that's on you. That's on you.
yeah.
That's not on me. Because look at
So
this. Like I,
go ahead.
like I said earlier, my grandfather fought against this kind of nonsense. And this kind of stuff that's going on right now is he is rolling over in his grave. What did he fight for? What did he fight for if this is what these folks are gonna do?
What do you think at the end of the day if Trump is indicted? What are your if you on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being Armageddon? What do you believe scale of 1 to 10 that the chances of actual violence taking place if Trump is indicted?
I don't think his base is getting smaller. We saw at Waco his crowd was very small. It was a very small crowd. Okay, we didn't have a lot of people there. So that the re, the reality of it is that's what we're looking at. And Ron DeSantis is your new leader in the Republican Party, so you better get behind him because that's who it's going to
I
be.
don't I don't know if they're gonna do that, but Greg, I appreciate you coming in.
Yep.
Ron, let me ask you this: as somebody who leans left, before I let you go, do you think Ron DeSantis is if as a person on the left, would you be more likely to deal with Ron DeSantis versus Trump? If you had to take one of them, even though you're on the
Uh,
left, which one would you pick
both of
between
them,
Trump and
both of
DeSantis?
them are both of them are pretty awful. But at least Ron DeSantis is smart at being a fascist. He's not an open fascist to the public. He's just a fascist, very smart, college
Yeah,
educated fascist. So that's good.
yeah.
That's what they want.
Not
That's
likely
what
to
they
have
love.
any. Yeah, yeah, not likely to have as much violence under DeSantis, though.
Yeah, but I mean, reality is, I don't know if Biden is going to be the nominee, but if it isn't, then uh, I think there's a few good people out there like Josh Shapiro and people like that in Pennsylvania that could make a run for it. But I got to get back to my top secret location, handsome.
All right. Good talk,
All
Greg.
right,
Appreciate you coming in
see
here.
ya.
Okay, looking in the hey, folks, tap the screen. Get your boy up to 30,000 likes. There's 700 plus of us in here. You could be anywhere you want to be on social media. So I'm always happy to have you guys in here with me. As always, the program is and always will remain MAGA friendly. Liberals are welcome, even though MAGA's my preferred guest. Liberals are welcome. You see what we do here. It is civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle. Nobody's being blocked or banned for how they feel about some damn subject out there. So understand that's what we do. You're never never going to agree with the host on every damn thing. I'm never going to agree with you on everything. But I will make you the solemn promise. I'll let you say it. And I don't talk down to my guests. Oddly enough, a couple callers back, she was suggested I'm a conspiratorial type guy, and I don't know. She had a difference of opinion. I let her get her opinion across, but she was trying her best to insult me as in many ways as possible. She's entitled to do so. Let me keep it going into the comment section. No way, you're the best handsome. I need that Starfire. I'm under fire today, so I appreciate that. You insult yourself, says Good Yang. Oh shit, that's really bad. Self-inflicted wound. Handsome is bipartisan. On some subjects, I am. I do admit I lean left, but I can see when the left is doing wrong. I've had plenty of conversations about LGBT issues, Black Lives Matter, Biden himself. I've pointed out wrongs on the left. Keep believing the fake news. Lisa Courtney, what is the fake news that you're suggesting that I'm believing? Let me know in the comments. We'll keep it going with, I love the name, Faceless American. 1922. Faceless American, welcome to the program and good afternoon, Faceless.
I'm not in a top secret location, so I'll tell you I'm in Wisconsin.
I grew up in Wisconsin. Some of my
really?
growing up years in Milwaukee.
I was born in Racine.
Okay, a little bit south.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Home of Frank Trout.
Do you think we're facing? Do you think people are willing to take up arms for Trump, the citizen? If he is indicted as a citizen, do you think there will be violence?
I think there's a lot of bolstering. First I'd like to kind of lay out where my mindset is. When Trump first ran for office, he came down the escalator. I laughed hysterically and walked out of the room. I voted. Wow. I voted. But precursor, I did vote for Obama. So I'm not Democrat. I'm not Republican. I consider myself an American. Okay. I want to see what's best for you, for me, for Joe down the street, for Manuel down the street, for whoever down the street. I want everybody to be happy. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen in our generation.
Did you vote for Trump in 2016 against Hillary Clinton?
I did.
Did you vote for Trump in 2020 against Biden?
I did. I just did not. I did not like anything that I saw coming out of the other side. Now, if somebody comes up, I would vote. I would vote against Trump if there was somebody that I thought could get in there, be strong, keep the others at bay, and work on our country.
What about DeSantis? If it comes down to DeSantis against Trump in the primary, who you got?
I don't necessarily hate DeSantis, but I think some of the things and some of the ways, much like Trump, the way he words things, the way he puts things out there, leaves a lot for the backbiting. As far as what he does and says for the educational and the LGBTQ Q communities, and he leaves a lot of room for people to misinterpret. And
give me an example. When you say the LGBT community, what is he doing that gives people a reason to misinterpret things? And by the way, folks, tap the screen, get your boy up to 35,000. Show your boy some love, helps out the algorithms, brings in more MAGA. Tap the screen. Ron DeSantis, what does he do that could be misinterpreted? Let's start with the LGBT community.
Well, I think we'll take that bill. Okay, the Don't Say Gay bill that everybody talks about. No, it was a rather short bill. I read through it, and I didn't see anything where it said, don't say gay, can't say gay. But the way that he put it out there on media gave everybody tons of ammunition to use against him. Can I say ammunition, or do I have to say pew-pew?
You said it. You're good with ammunition, I think.
It gave people ammunition to misconstrue it and jump to conclusions, because the average attention span of the average American now is like 5 seconds. Squirrel. So it's I think that was.
But you don't think you're going to escape? You don't think you would escape that by putting in Trump? I mean, he called the protest on January 6th a love fest. Talk about leaving room to be
Yeah,
misinterpreted.
it definitely wasn't a love fest, and much like I'm a Christian, but I also refer to myself as the worst Christian ever because I do accept other views and religion. My view on it is different than the social norm or what the Roman Catholic Church would say. I'd probably burst into flames if I walked into the Vatican. I believe in God. I believe in God. I believe that Jesus died for our sins. But what's to say that, the powers that be didn't show themselves to other civilizations, other cultures in different ways? So, I mean, if you look at most religions, when you look at them, multi God religions, you put them all together, what do you have? You have that same base core of morals and
True.
ethics.
That is true.
So,
Stevie D, appreciate that. Thank you, Stevie.
so
So
I
let
do,
me ask you this because you mentioned you voted for Trump twice. I saw this in the
I did.
comments, and I think it would probably be aimed at a voter like you. Our DMC 75 claims that a vote for Trump is a vote for the KKK. Being a supporter of Trump twice, how do you respond to folks that suggest that Trump is supportive of intolerance?
Well, I think a lot of it with that, I mean, I've heard him deny, I've heard him get on TV multiple times. I've heard him, I'm trying to think of the word I can use, disavow any, actions that they do. He's called them out on it. He's dropped any allegiance or whatever you want to say.
Why do they keep
But
supporting?
at
If
the same,
and I agree with you,
because
he's done this stuff, but they keep supporting him and showing up at his gatherings.
yeah,
Why do they do that to a guy that's constantly disavowing them?
I think that some of it is they, like anything else, anybody can pull what they want from whatever they want. So they can see it. And where somebody who was, say, a staunch Biden supporter might not care about this interaction he had with this person or that person, but another person might go, yeah, I'm all for that, even though they're a shitty group.
It, it's interesting
You
you would
know,
say that because we were just talking about. It's interesting you would say that because we were just talking about being able to be misinterpreted. So what you're basically saying is the KKK and some of these white supremacist groups continue to misinterpret Trump's words as being supportive of them.
right, right. And it happens all across the board. I mean, it doesn't have to just be Trump. It can be a lot of things. And again, being the worst Christian and
They're not showing up,
political
but
person.
why are they? If anybody can be misinterpreted, and you got Biden out there talking about vote for me, you ain't black, but you don't
Right.
see Confederate flags flying at his gatherings, the few he has. You don't see white supremacists showing up to Biden gatherings. So
Well,
what
I
is
mean,
it about Trump's?
it's kind of hard to get
Huh?
into it's kind of hard to get into Biden's basement when he was running for president to fly a Confederate
You can
flag.
listen. You
I
could
had to do
park
it.
your
I had
car.
to do it,
You can
Hanson.
park your
I
car and
couldn't
blow the
help. I
horn.
had to do it. I had to do it.
And
But
I agree, but you could park your car out there and blow the horn. They had about 10
right,
cars out there. You could have done that.
right.
But I'm just simply saying, being honest, you don't see
No,
Confederate flags
no,
flying at Biden rallies or
no.
Obama rallies or Clinton rallies. Why is that?
Well, I mean, he panders to a different mindset. Different events and stuff that are burning the American flag. To me, that's just as offensive as flying, the rebel flag. It it's all in how
No,
you
but
perceive it and what you find offensive.
yeah, but if you look at the folks that have burned the American flag, and I totally understand why that would be viewed as offensive, and you look at the folks that are flying the Confederate flag, what has happened under the history of people burning the American flag versus what has happened under the history of people flying the Confederate flag?
Oh, I know where you're going with it, and you're absolutely right. Okay, I'm not
Yeah.
going to disagree that the historical ramifications and the horrors that happened back. I do not deny anything that happened in the past. Our country is an amazing country. We're full of beautiful people, amazing people, diverse people. But the problem is everybody wants to be heard. Everybody wants to have their moment. They want to have their I'm special moment. And I think
So what is it?
we
So
forget we
if people,
forget we forget the history of things. We forget why things are the way they are. We just see it as the momentary perceived interpretation of what we are being told basically is the threat.
Right.
You know what I
But
mean?
when it comes to people just wanting to be heard, what are the Confederate supporters trying to say that they really think needs to be heard? For instance, I'm sure you've heard of the phrase "the South will rise again." What does that mean to you? Because they want to be heard. What are they trying to say?
Yeah, that one's always kind of boggled my brain as well. I mean, because it's like, well, what South are you talking about? Because my family's from the South, and when I think of the South, I think of chicken and dinners and great food, great
I don't
personalities.
think they talk
You know,
about chicken though.
I'm
Yeah, I
like,
don't think they
oh,
talk about chicken though.
oh, God, man, I know, but wouldn't it be nice if they were? Um,
Yeah, yeah. But
it,
they might be talking about Chicken George. So, no, but I mean,
but
really, what is that phrase?
it's,
If you had to give your
I
wildest
think
interpretation, what is the South will rise again? What do you think that
I've
means?
I've thought of this, and I think that a lot of the younger generation have this image that the South is looked down upon. They're the butt of jokes or the butt of this. And I think some of the younger generation, like, and when I say that, it's stuff like, well, if she's good enough for Paul, she's good enough for me, that kind of crap. And I think that when they hear this and when they say this, they're like, we're going to rise. We're going to rise up again. We're not going to be mocked. We're not going to be, the butt of jokes. But they don't look back and say, okay, well, this is what this means to these people. you know, if the South rises again, are we going to be strapping arms to have another civil war? Are we going to be seeing lynchings? Are we going to be seeing, what do you want to do? I think it's a lot of ignorance, and not ignorance by, it's not willful ignorance. I don't think it's just situational ignorance. I guess, is that a thing?
You know,
Maybe
I
I
guess
just
maybe
made up
we
a new maybe I just made up a new, thing. We'll make it a thing. Situational ignorance. You
Yeah,
could have
I think
situational awareness.
I would probably replace situational with deliberate. I think, for
Um,
instance, the South will rise again. We know what America was like when the South was on top, and we know what they were
mm,
doing. And the reason I mean, the only reason why the South is not on top is because they lost a ton of free labor. That's the only reason they're not doing as good as the North. Is because they
right.
lost a lot of free labor. So when they say when they're going to rise again, how are you going to do that? Other than going back to what you used to do. So that's the way I interpret it. But I understand,
No,
you may interpret it differently. I'll give you the last word.
no,
I do got to
that's
move it on,
that's
though.
that's what that's what I see. When I think of it, that's kind of the way I think of it too. That's why it kind of throws
Right.
me when I hear the younger kids say it, because at the same time they're hanging out with people of all ethnicities. So it's like, you are confused. you know,
Yeah.
how could you be
Yeah.
that offensive and have that kind of a friend base? But the I actually wanted to address the Putin comment.
Sure. I'll give you a
People
minute. Go ahead.
can how people can support Putin. I don't really watch CNN. I don't watch Tucker Carlson. I don't watch CNBC. I don't watch a lot of American news networks.
Then how do you know what's going on? How do you know what's
I
going on
go
over
I
there?
go overseas. I look at like the Australian news, different news sources. Um, Overseas, I go to, and actually, it sounds stupid, but there are videos that people like the Ukrainians are posting, and I'm kind of torn. It's like, I don't like Putin. I mean, I like his strength and stuff, but I don't like him. I know that if you turn your back on him, he's former KGB. He will cut you. he will kill you.
Okay. So
But
what's it? I'm trying to get you. Go
I
ahead.
think
I'm
I
trying to get
think
your point out of it.
right. So with Putin, I don't think it's so much supporting Putin as the person. I think it's supporting Putin because there are the claims of the biological weapons being developed in Ukraine for the United States and other countries, which is part of the reason I think that they're not in the United Nations, because if they were, they couldn't do it. There are different things
Yeah,
that,
but you're bombing playgrounds and schools
well,
because
and
are the
see,
bio weapons on the playground?
no, but see, they take, and these have been videos put out, the Ukrainian people have put out videos where they're begging their leadership to stop putting their artilleries in front of schools, in front of hospitals. So they put these targets out there,
Okay, but
there.
here's what I
So
don't get.
it's a cluster.
Yeah, but here's what I don't get. When we went into Iraq claiming they had weapons of mass destruction,
Yeah,
our
right.
goal from I get that, but our goal from day one was always to find those facilities and target those facilities specifically, not take over a country and bomb it indiscriminately. What Russia is doing goes beyond any scope of having bioweapons. They are essentially trying to conquer the country. Also, you got to take in consideration when they first went into the Ukraine, they were using Russian soldiers without any markings on them and denying that they were Russian soldiers. So that goes above and beyond just taking biolabs. I mean, if you truly believe they have some biolabs, why can't you announce that on the world stage? Why are you sending in soldiers and having them remove all of their markings so nobody know where they're coming from?
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a cluster F. I mean
Yeah.
the whole situation is a shitstorm. There's no you can't take the bag of snakes and just throw it out there and they're straight. No matter what you do,
So what do you think Biden should do? What do you think Biden should do?
I think Biden should shut his mouth because he's been one of the I mean, the guy, I really wish I could support Biden. I wish I could put my faith in Biden as a president, but I can't. Because every time he opens his mouth, it seems like he's instigating.
Do you think he should back off and just let that war go as it may?
I think he should have just. That's the thing. It's like, oh, we don't need another war. I think at the very least, he should have said, okay, look, we're going to sanction you. We're going to sanction you, Russia. We're going to sanction you. We're going to, whatever. We'll still send food. We'll still send supplies to the Ukrainians. But as far as his posturing with Russia, I mean, he's not perceived as a strong man. Russia, it's between Ukraine and Russia.
So if we impose sanctions on Putin and the sanctions didn't work and we said, well, that is between you two, how would you feel about Biden?
No, because I honestly am a firm believer that before we do other things for other people, I'm busy. Hold on a second. Before we do things for other people.
Hey, take care of your fam, man. You can come on back through, man.
So I'm a firm believer that you fix your house before you fix other people's homes. You take care of your family before you take care of other people's families. If your house has no heat, you can't, you're not going to give what little bit of firewood you've got to everybody else so you still freeze. So you need to take care of your own family. And as a nation, we are a family. I don't look at people and say, "Oh, there's so and so and there's so and so." That's my brothers and sisters.
So let me ask you this. Let's say Biden got on television and said, we're going to no longer give any more money to the Ukraine, but we're going to use that money to relieve college loan debt. We're going to extend the amount of food stamps to needy families. Would you support that?
I could get behind that.
You could get behind that.
I could get behind that.
But Trump would never get behind that.
Well, like I said, I mean, I supported Trump in a lot of the things that he did as far as running the country in certain ways. Should I think his thumb should have been cut off? Yes. But he definitely should have.
I gotta go.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
But yeah.
Good
but no,
talk.
I appreciate the platform, man. Thank you. And I will definitely be coming back in here again. You guys, you're awesome. So I appreciate it.
Good talk. All right, Faceless American, good conversation there. And I was going to bring that up is that in regards to folks, because his statement is not uncommon that we should do more for America. As the hat would say, make America greater. Some folks would point out America first. The problem I have and many folks have on the left is that the same problems we're saying that money could go to instead of helping out the Ukraine, those problems existed before the Ukrainian-Russian conflict, and folks on the right were putting up resistance to money going to those things, such as the college tuition I just pointed to. Now, that caller said he could get behind it. Folks on the right have been against college tuition assistance from day one. If the Russian-Ukrainian event did not happen, or Biden did not send money there and tried to divert it to college tuition assistance, folks would say no. So that is the only issue I have, is that when we say that money could go to helping people in America, I would be far more willing to understand that if folks, you had poor people in America making it clear that they were really looking out for us until the Russian war broke out, and now they started diverting funds over there. Take care of us at home first. Then it would make sense. But fact is, most of the problems we have at home were being ignored. Group of poor people in America complaining that you guys have sent our money that you used to be giving us to the Ukraine. If that war ends, that those same problems in the United States will continue. That's my own personal observation. We'll keep it going though. But he's looking for white privileges. I don't know what that would mean, user. There are more people in China who like Trump than the total population of the United States. I don't know if I buy that. Why would people in China like President Trump? He was extremely critical of China. Now, maybe in Russia, because Russian television is using Tucker Carlson quotes. They clearly like Trump in Russia because all of his comments in regards to Russia have been favorable. But Trump is incredibly critical of China. Remember the Kung flu? I mean, Trump having huge support in China, that doesn't make any sense. Trump put arms embargoes on China. That's what I'm saying. I don't see where Trump was doing anything that the Chinese would consider favorable. So why would they have a huge Trump support in China? That makes no sense. Pendejo. But that is his name, folks. That is not a slur. That is the actual name of the guest. Pendejo, good afternoon.
Gabriel, good day, sir.
Good to hear from you. Talking about the potential of taking up arms for Trump as a citizen. Do you think people are going to do that?
No, I do not. I'm here mainly to see if you could tell me, why is AOC a way left liberal?
Because first of all, in regards to AOC being a way left liberal, I think that the term way left socialist has the same effect of calling somebody a racist. And what I mean is this: if you are a right winger and you debate with liberals, inevitably somebody's going to call you a racist, because that's the term a lot of liberals use to demonize the right. If you are a left winger debating with the right, inevitably somebody's going to call you far left or a socialist, because those are demonization terms. The right does not like AOC, so she is going to get those terms. That doesn't mean she actually is far left, because when you look at what far left is in Europe, AOC doesn't qualify. That's why I believe she's a far left liberal.
Granted, I agree. I agree a lot.
Yeah.
Now,
She's been called that to demonize her.
yes. Now, I just want to also lament on the, how should I say, the failures of the previous administration. We are going to feel for a long time. You know, his
Give me an example, because they believe Trump did a lot good for this country. Give me some failures that Trump has implemented that we're going to feel for a long time in America.
Trade. He disseminated all our trade partners. We cannot trade freely with any country going on. You know, he left it open for China. All of our trade partners went to China. You know, China's
You
going to
think
be
you think our trade relationship has been destroyed with Canada?
with Canada, with Mexico. Canada is only hanging on. Mexico is going to go brick, and we're going to lose a lot of Mexican trade. You know, all of our trade partners just hate us. You know, he really, really.
I don't know. Listen, I understand that there was no love for President Trump among our allies and trade partners. I get that, but I don't know if I would agree that the damage he may have done with those relationships is something we're going to be dealing with for years to come. I do believe, like Trudeau, who is no longer, I don't think Trudeau is the prime minister of Canada still. I
Yeah.
think a lot of them realize that Trump is Trump, and that's not necessarily reflective of typical United States politicians. And the reason I say that is because a lot of politicians on both the left and right were contacting their counterparts in these countries and letting them know this dude does not represent us. He just happened to be elected in, and we can't do anything for now. But I don't believe we got permanent harm from our allies because of Trump.
China went in and just took over the trade. They're even in
Yeah,
Jamaica now. They're
yeah, that
everywhere.
is true.
China
Yeah,
just
that's
took over. I
yeah.
mean, we're in so much trouble now. I don't know if we can get out. Our money is going to be worth a lot less, once this BRICS thing really hits the road. The African nations that we had on retainer because we had them taxed up to the hilt. I've heard that all their debt has been paid. So the African nations, they're going to leave us. Whatever
Well,
little we
what's
have.
happening? I don't necessarily think that China has quote unquote took over. I think what China is doing is pointing out is actually speaking to countries we've been treating like shit and letting those countries know we will treat you better than them. I mean, they're not going to take over Australia. They're not going to take over Canada or France, or they're going to the countries that we treated like shit and letting them know we can give you a better deal. We haven't been friendly to Mexico or countries throughout Africa, some of those countries you named. So it's not like they would be in a position where they would have to really fight to get those countries, as Trump called them, shitholes. So I do kind of see where you're coming from.
Yeah, I just don't think that his rhetoric was taken well, and the harm that has been done is just too bad. We're gonna feel it pretty soon.
Yeah.
We really are.
So let's say Trump gets back in office in 2024. Do you see America recovering, getting better?
Well, I definitely urge every person listening to vote. The reason being, it could be your last vote. If Trump wins, there might not be any more voting. Let me tell you that much.
Why? What would happen that would stop voting if Trump win? What are you suggesting that could take place?
They're just nobody would have faith in the system. The system would be totally shot. I just don't believe that we could rebound. You know what I'm saying?
So
It just
if Trump becomes president and people stop voting and have no faith in the system, 4 years later in 2028, what will happen? Who's going to be our leader?
it might be a different world in 4 years if he's president. I'm telling you, it's going to be a very, very bleak world. Because look, the
Wow.
Republicans, the Republicans don't care. That's what people don't understand. They want destruction. They want this thing to fail. That's what people
Why
are
would
not.
they? But wait a minute. Why would they want destruction? They got houses, families, and jobs. If we have total destruction, that hurts them as well. Why would they want that?
They want the whole United States system to fail. Everything,
Why?
everything of
For what
failure is
purpose? What
good.
would they gain out of that?
They would gain that they brung down their January 6th was accomplished. Okay, that they went over, took over the government, and just they're trying to ruin everything. They're not trying to
So wait a
build
minute.
us
So you're
up.
saying just so they can say they won, they're willing to burn the whole country down?
They're willing to burn it down, no doubt. Without a doubt, they'll burn it down. Look
Listen,
at
I
the
lean left, but I think you're over. I think you're misjudging. I don't think Republicans want to destroy their own land just to walk away with a victory. You really believe that?
the whole administration went along with an idiot. They knew that he was incapable. They knew he had no sense. You can't even get an educational transcript from Trump because he done locked those down to know what an idiot he really was. And even if it comes out, his supporters would still support him. There's no. You
Wow.
see, the question you have to ask is, what would you do to not support Trump? What would it be? I mean, even if you kill somebody, you're still going to support them. If he shoots somebody in the head, you have an
So
excuse.
you believe when Trump said that he could take somebody out in the middle of Fifth Avenue, his supporters would go nowhere. You believe that's actually true?
Most, yes, most definitely. There's nothing that
Wow.
he can't do. You name me something that you think that his supporters believe. What? I don't know. He's raped. I
You,
mean, sorry, he's sexually assaulted. He's done a lot of things.
mm.
I mean, what is it going to take? You know what I'm saying? I mean, and here's the last one. I need someone on your show to bring up one business that Trump succeeded in. What was the name of that business? I just want to know
Well,
one.
I mean, you'd have to assume The Apprentice, the show he was on, was incredibly successful.
He was on a show, but what business?
He was
What
on the
business?
show, but you got to think that Trump on The Apprentice was akin to Bill Cosby on the Cosby Show. Without Trump on that show, it doesn't do that.
Regardless, it's a show. It's a little
Okay,
entertainment. It's an
all right,
entertainment
fair
show.
enough.
But what
Yeah,
business that he was in was a success? Was it the stakes? They failed. Was it the university? It failed. Every single business venture has been an extreme failure. I just want to know
he's
the
got.
name of one business venture that he was in that was a success. That he didn't cheat people. That he didn't, fondle people. When was this? What? Okay, I'll go. But
All right, fair enough, fair enough. All right, Pendejo, you know you always welcome back though, man.
bet.
Strong opinion. Come on back through anytime. All right,
All right.
looking in the comments. By the way, I don't know if 50,000 likes is possible, but if you got some love for your boy, regardless if you disagree or agree with what the hell we're discussing, tap the screen, get your boy up to 50,000 likes. You could be anywhere you want to be on TikTok, but you're here. You are here right now, and that is an honor. And if you like this type of civilized dialogue from both, the program helps out the algorithms, brings me more MAGA. The program is and always will remain MAGA friendly till the day it ends. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome. All right, going back to the comments. You all right, but your show was fiction. wait a minute. You all right, but the show was fiction, says Tyke Explorer. Well, in regards to whether it's in night, appreciate that Cloverleaf. Thank you very much. In regards to whether the show is fact or fiction, it's an opinionated spot with commentary. At the end of the day, we're all here discussing our opinions. That's why I always make the promise that I don't talk down to guests because I don't know every damn thing. A lot of my folks cue me in on shit all the time, particularly MAGA. I enjoy talking to MAGA because I don't believe in echo chambers. If you stay only on your side, you don't hear very much on the other side. And I do believe both sides of the aisle have important topics and facts that you need to learn. Nevertheless, let's keep it going. He is sure good at conning people out of money. I'll go right back to the box, but in regards to Trump being good at conning people out of money, I have to bring this up because it has been mentioned in the news. Last week, this time, Trump was suggesting that he would be arrested tomorrow. That clearly did not happen. He clearly did not follow up with any explanation why he was wrong on that by at least a week as of now. Nevertheless, his claim of raising money on the arrest is true. He raised money based on a false claim that he was going to be arrested. And people are donating to that. He stated he was going to be arrested on Tuesday and started requesting, campaign funds. And people have donated to that, even though the arrest never happened. It may happen, but he said it was going to happen on Tuesday. I don't think I've talked to anyone that's holding him accountable for throwing that out there. And it's not even been close. It's almost a week now. All right, let's keep it moving. We'll go to Harry Debates. I appreciate you holding on, Harry. He is sure good at yeah. Let me keep it moving here. It was the liberals who said he would. No, that's not true. President Trump himself truth it out. Now, if he heard it originally from a liberal, since when the hell did Trump start believing liberals? When he tweeted that out or truthed it out, you're going to tell me the only person he heard it from was a liberal and he trusted that enough to tweet it out? What else does he believe coming from liberals? Good afternoon, Harry.
How you doing, Tim?
I'm doing good. Trying to find out, is American citizens going to take up arms for citizen Trump? Not President Trump, but citizen Trump.
Well, they'd have a hell of a fight ahead of them. And this time, Trump isn't president.
True. So do you see it? Do you see the chance of it actually happening? Do you think that, let's say he's indicted in New York for his Stormy Daniels hush fund money that he supposedly used as campaign funds?
Sure.
Let's say they truly believe it was a witch hunt or it was trumped up charges, and even folks on the left believe what they're doing in New York is a stretch because they're essentially trying to squeeze a felony out of a misdemeanor that may have already expired statute of limitation wise. So let's say they do get him on a felony out of New York. Do you think people will take up arms?
I would say that the smart supporters will not. You may have a few fanatical lone wolves trying to commit acts of terror, but ultimately, like, are you going to take on the U.S. National Guard? No, you are not. I don't care how long you've been training. I don't care how many guns you got. They got you. It's not happening. And if you're smart, you'll recognize it.
But I get it that you don't normally see one person or a group of people taking on the National Guard or taking on the feds. But Timothy McVeigh did it. I mean, there are ways of doing it.
Where's Timothy McVeigh right now?
Well, he's sleeping. He's asleep right now.
He's asleep.
I'll let you know when he wake up.
Okay.
Yeah, he's sleeping.
Let me know. Let me know. So I'm saying, if you want to take a nap like that, sure, go take on the National Guard. Go ahead. Be a martyr for nobody and nothing. But it ain't gonna happen. Like, it would be obvious if they had enough support to actually overthrow the U.S. military, because I know you keep asking your guests, who are they fighting? We all know it's not going to be leftists. The liberals are not going out there. First off, not a big gun crowd, right?
I don't know about that, but go ahead.
I mean, I would just say that, like, liberals, leftists, they are willing to fight for what they believe in, but they certainly aren't willing to fight a person. And why would they need to fight when they have the National Guard? It's not even a question now. Like,
but let's say there was a MAGA uprising, just like at the Capitol building, there was a MAGA uprising, and many folks point out that the Capitol Police, whose job it was to squelch the MAGA uprising, let some of them in. I believe there was even a Capitol Police officer that donned a MAGA hat. Could the National Guard be depended upon to go after a MAGA uprising? I mean, you got to assume there's MAGA in the National Guard.
Yes, 100%. My wife's actually in the National Guard, and I guarantee, no matter what you believe ideologically, you are not going to go against your direct orders. Listen, one thing to commit a crime as a citizen, it's a whole nother thing to commit a crime as a member of the armed services. That is a whole nother ballgame.
The Capitol Police would have done exactly what you're talking about. They let folks in the Capitol building while it was clearly being under siege. Any Capitol Police officer that let them in and it's on camera, that was a crime.
Would you say that a vast majority of the Capitol Police laid down their arms and just said, screw it, come on in. I'll show you where Pence is at?
You know, I don't think they showed them where Pence is. But in regards to laying down their arms, I do believe a lot of them didn't do their job. I mean, you see the African American running up the stairs while they're chasing them. Clearly, he was in a position to start using protection. His life was in danger. They're running up the stairs behind him. He claims they were using racial slurs. He laid down his arm. He didn't open fire on them.
Yeah, and he led them away from Congress. Remember that?
Well,
Like they
yeah,
walked right
but
by. They walked right by Congress. Like they could
that
have
is
just
true.
said,
That
"Screw
is
this
true.
guy." Like he not just first off an American hero. This man. Let's not mince words. Like he very selfless act he did by specifically saying, "No, don't go for them. Go for me. Chase me." Blah blah blah. That that's a truly
What
him living
about
up to
the
his due.
officers? What about the officers that were filmed letting them in, though?
Where are they right now?
They're not in jail.
Well, certainly not enough of them. Uh, you know, not enough of the Capitol Police didn't do their job for MAGA to win. And let's face it, like if the Capitol Police had really supported the January Sixers, they would have been more successful. First off, Capitol Police are armed and have a lot of strategic information, right?
Right.
So I think if you had a handful of Capitol Police switching sides and supporting the January 6th rioters, it would have gone a much different way.
All right, perhaps. I don't totally disagree with that. So if Trump is indicted, though, you don't see that happening again.
Maybe there's a lone wolf situation, but they didn't show up on Tuesday.
Let me give you an actual quote from President Trump over the weekend.
Okay.
He stated that 2024 will be the final battle. What do you think that means?
I think it means whatever. I think if you asked him point blank what it means, you and I, in a public forum, as people on the left, he'd be like, no, come on, it's just a figure of speech. And that's the beautiful thing about dog whistling is that you have plausible deniability.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That is
It's
true.
it's in this quantum state of serious or not serious, right? Like, oh, he is serious if they do it and are successful, but if they
Yeah, but
fail,
here's the problem. Here's the thing, though. I think it would be difficult to try to try to lead somebody into some kind of deniability with a phrase like "final battle." I mean, when you go and cast a ballot, you never think of that as a battle. That is overly hyped to refer to voting as being in a battle. I mean, if you just have somebody define battle, battles are always violent. I mean, I
sure,
just casting a ballot is not a battle. So I think in this case, the length, and not only that, but after seeing what happened with January 6th and seeing how go peacefully could be clearly misinterpreted, to follow up go peacefully with final battle almost sounds like you're taking it a step further to make sure people understand what you actually mean.
well, Tim, I agree with you, but I'm just telling you that you're not. If you asked MAGA, Q, Trump, all point blank, they would all have the same story, which is he's not serious. It's allegory,
Yeah.
unless it actually does go down and they do win, and then when the history books are written, they'll be like, yes, this was when Trump called us to arms, and we beckoned his call because we love you, President Trump.
Yeah. Well, in regards to him not being serious or being joking or something like that, I would be more willing to entertain that if there wasn't for January 6th. But after you've already told a joke or said something and it turned out awful, why get on stage and give the same material again? I mean, you've seen what could happen from January 6th. So you start talking battles again. You can't come back and say, well, I'm joking again after seeing what happened with the last one. But Harry, I do got to move it on. Appreciate you
Sure,
coming in here, man.
I think
All right.
we're in agreement. But yeah, have a good
Yeah,
one,
I do
Tim.
too. I do too. All right. Look, get it together. He's running a cult. I don't want to call Trump supporters or MAGA a cult. I talk to a lot of good Trump supporters. I don't want to say they're all in the cult. Is there cult-like activity within the ranks? Yes, I've seen that, but I don't want to say they're all in it. It's not it's not dog whistling. It is what it is. Okay, so you're saying it's not a dog whistle, it's out in plain sight. All right, I'll leave that at that. All right, let me look in the box here and keep it moving with Tacos via. Okay, that's an interesting name. Tacos zombies. That's being mean. The real American. What did that say? The real American patriots kick Trump's funky ass out the White House. Ouch. RDMC. Good afternoon, Tacos via.
Good afternoon, brother. How you doing, man? How
I'm
you
doing good.
doing?
That is a creative name there. But do you see any violence ensuing if Trump is indicted?
Well, there's a lot of things that were mentioned. I do want to talk about that, but I do right off the bat, not by Trump supporters. I believe that anyone that follows Trump around the world, because he has followers not just in the United States, but he has followers around the world. People that follow Trump
Right.
are more likely to be, what's the word, politicized. Because all the information that comes behind following Trump. He's not your usual politician. He wasn't even a politician. So it's interesting for those people that are not, have not been Trump followers. Well, I don't want to say Trump followers because Trump is following an idea, right, of values and principles of being an American. So it's not like we follow Trump. We follow those values and principles that he's fighting for. That's what we follow, and that's what we have in common. But so those, we are very politicized around the world. I'm not even in the United States right now, and I can speak from where I'm at. People that follow Trump are politicized. They understand politics, and they understand what agent provocateurs are. It's a real thing. Agent provocateurs is not something to do with conspiracy
Yeah, but
theory.
when you say people that follow Trump are politicized, well, people who don't follow Trump are politicized as well. People who vote are politicized. I mean, that's kind of normal, isn't it?
Wait, yeah, but what I mean by politicized, I mean like they understand deeper than just the surface of politics, because most of these people that are against, the MAGA movement or whatever, they don't seem to understand what's really going on. They just repeat what they hear on the news. I don't consider that
What do you think is really going on? Give me your opinion of what's really going on.
okay. See, what I think is going on, it's there's different, and let's call them new world orders that are emerging. Some of them are government, some of them are fake scientific corporate organizations. And so, there's different, it's because of the technology that we have right now. It allows for
And,
something like
and
that to
what
rise up.
is
The
yeah, but
ESG,
the stuff you're talking,
let me
let's
give you a
say,
name. The ESG. Go ahead.
yeah, the stuff you're talking about, New World Order and things that are going on, hasn't that stuff been allegedly going on for decades already?
Hundreds of years. Yeah, it's been happening for at
So,
least that I know since the 1600s. It's
all right, so what is electing Trump going to do about New World Order if it's been going on since the 1600s?
right. Okay, so right now we're at a Y. Okay, imagine we're on a path and not a fork, but we have a Y. So we have to choose directions. And it has to do with the technology. Right now, whatever power that emerges, kind of like the United States did about 100, 150 years ago, they emerge as a superpower and they stood in control. The difference today is that whoever emerges and actually takes that control is probably going to have control for like the next 500 to 1,000 years, if if we're still around, if we're still around. But why do I say that? Because of the technology that we have nowadays would
Okay,
allow for.
okay, I'm willing to play ignorance and admit you're way over my head with the stuff you're talking about. How does Trump factor into helping or hurting any of this stuff?
Okay, because he's touching on these values and principles, I guess let's call them that, with freedoms and liberty, that people resonate with that message around the world. Now, interesting that somebody said that people in China are probably, there's a lot of supporters in China for Trump. I was thinking about that and I was thinking how that could be possible. Why? Because we have to be able to separate the Chinese Communist Party, politicians, and then the regular people. The regular people of China, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of them that feel oppressed. Now, those people, and I think that's majority of them, I think those people, and that have access to the internet and understand what Trump is talking about, they might be very likely to support Trump because they might feel oppressed. So, we might
But
want
if
to
you
see
feel
about.
if you feel oppressed, why would you go to Trump as opposed to politicians who often speak in favor of groups that think they are oppressed. You got Biden supporting Black Lives Matter and feminist groups, all of the groups that claim they are oppressed. You're going to get liberals openly speaking in favor of them. Trump is
Yeah,
referring to Black Lives Matter as a terrorist group. So if you believe you're oppressed, why would you go to a person that speaks negatively of groups that think they're oppressed?
right. Because people that think that he speaks negatively of people that are oppressed is because they haven't really researched Trump and what he's talking about. So what Trump is talking about is giving everybody a key so that you can not be oppressed, but that's something that you have to do on your own. Versus what Biden and all of them talk about is they don't want to give you the key so that you can liberate yourself from oppression. They want to be the ones to keep you away from oppression. So then they control that. They can
So
always keep you.
okay, so if Black Lives, let's take Black Lives Matter for instance, they believe they're oppressed. They believe that the police are mistreating minorities. If even if you're from China, if you get access to YouTube, there's a lot of videos coming out of the United States to show black people being mistreated by cops. How are folks overseas supposed? Do folks overseas believe Black Lives Matter and African Americans complaining that the cops are mistreating them? Do they believe they're lying?
No, I
Because
think,
Trump is on the other hand.
yeah,
Trump is not on Black Lives Matter side.
right,
Trump is talking about I support law enforcement.
right,
So you're in a different country
yeah.
and you see this group of people complaining that law enforcement is mistreating them, and then you have Trump suggesting he is pro law
Yeah.
enforcement. How do you suggest that folks in China do their homework on that?
Okay, because they have access to the internet, they have access to information, and they understand, for example, who like people like George Soros is. They understand how people like George Soros tends to
I don't
invest a
even
lot
know
of
a lot
money.
about this.
Go ahead, go ahead.
You really think the average Chinese citizen is researching George Soros? I would submit to you most Americans don't even know who the hell George Soros
It's
is.
uh it's been 7 years. So maybe 7 years ago, of course not, but it's been 7 years since Trump came in 2016. So it's been enough time for the message to get around the world. So by now, I think it's more possible that people in China, poor people in China may understand more or less what's going on, maybe not completely, but at least generally to where they can say, you know what? We need a Trump in China. We need a Trump in Mexico. And actually, Mexico does have a Trump right now. That's another thing that I want to talk about. Mexico-U.S. relations right now. Actually, Mexico is the number one business partner, trading partner with the United States of America. So our relationships.
What is Mexico? If Trump is pro law enforcement,
Mhm.
what is Mexico if they have a Trump? What are they doing about the cartel? Because that's what's ruining their
Yeah.
country.
Right, right. So actually, the president of Mexico, has a great plan. He's starting something that nobody has started. Approaching the problem in a different way. So first of all, what he's doing is he's taking away the human what do you call it? Because cartels are always killing each other, right? They always need new people, new
Right.
soldiers. So they tend to go to the young people. And so what AMLO is doing, he's giving these young people money to go to school and stay in school. So granted, that may not be
Socialism?
the
You're
most
telling me the
technical.
Mexican Trump is in favor of socialism, giving them free
No,
school money?
wait. But see, that money that is given out to these young kids is not coming from. It's not putting us in debt. Back then before
Where's
AMLO,
the
this
money
money
coming
used
from?
to
Wait,
go.
wait. Where's the money coming from if it's not putting you in debt?
They used to steal it before. The corruption, because Mexico was one of the most, if not the most, corrupt country in the world, and it's ironic being that we're neighbors with the United States, right? But yeah, I mean, all that money that used to get
You're
lost
you're
before.
telling me you're telling me this guy is a Mexican Trump, yet he's
Oh
giving
yeah.
folks money to go to school. Trump would
Wait, wait, wait,
never
wait, wait,
give
wait,
folks
wait,
free
wait,
money to go to
brother,
school.
brother, brother, brother. Listen to me. The United States of America is not totally capitalist. The United States of America, for a long time, has been part socialist, part capitalist, and you need a
Right.
balance. You
I
need a
agree.
balance,
I
right?
agree.
That's what I'm saying. You need a balance everywhere. So I think the issue, because I'm not a socialist, I'm against socialism and capitalism, but I'm for creating a plan that actually works. Like I'm not gonna be here
That
just
ain't what I'm
repeating what.
asking you though. That ain't what I'm saying. I get your point about we have socialist policies in this country.
Right. Well, let
I'm
me get
saying
to answer your question.
President Trump would never give folks free money to go to school.
Right. You know why, bro? because majority of the United States of America is middle class. So you have to understand the difference of that's a big difference. Majority of people are not middle class. Majority of Mexicans are in poverty level. So it's a different approach.
Trump is
So look,
not
what I'm saying
known.
is this,
Trump is
brother.
not known for giving. Yeah, but wait a minute. Trump is not known for giving. Okay, you're saying majority of us are middle class. Trump is not known for helping out poor people.
What's up? You
Trump is
said
not known for helping out poor people.
right? I know. But what I'm saying is that it's a different approach. Just like in El Salvador right now, right? You get arrested for having a gang tattoo. That doesn't happen in the States. But hey, in El Salvador, it's a different approach because it's a different country. You know,
I
it's a
don't
very
see.
small country.
I don't see. I don't. What I'm trying to get is, I don't see why you're calling this guy a Trump-like guy. I don't
Okay,
see
well,
any policies that
let me answer that question.
with
Let me
Trump.
answer that question because they're both fighting against the elite. They're both fighting against this world globalist technocratic elite. So that's why they are the same. Even though one is socialist, so what if one says he's socialist? He's actually better. Mexico's economy.
Wait, wait. Bernie Sanders fights against the elite. Why not call your president the new Bernie Sanders?
Well, I mean, he's not president. I mean, I guess if what happened, but
Yeah,
that's hypothetical. The point is that he's not president. What happened, but that's
yeah.
hypothetical. The point is that he's
Okay.
president. I'm always president, and he's showing. Look, let me share this with you, bro, because you keep interrupting me. But I'm trying to answer your question. Look, in the States, you're telling me that if it was up to you, you would get rid of the opposition right now with a snap of a finger, like Thanos? Would you do that?
Wait. Say
Or
that
do you
again.
believe that it's healthy to have an opposition? Yeah. So if you were Thanos, right? If you were Thanos, or you had the power to just get rid of anything you wanted with a snap of a finger, would you get rid of Trump's opposition with a snap of a finger? Would you do that? Or do you think it's important to have an opposition?
Well, considering the program I run, you should know the answer to that. I don't mind letting others sass. That I don't mind letting others sass. But the cartel is the opposition in Mexico, and they're against the law. I would stand
The
up.
cartels. Of course, we Mexican people are for getting rid of the cartels. But what I'm saying is, given the history, okay, that Mexico and the U.S. has, we can't just talk about invading Mexico because that's not going to help us as Americans. You know, Russia and China, they're waiting for an excuse to move into Mexico, like
Wait a
permanently.
minute. Wait. Now you went into invading Mexico. Where is the talk of invading Mexico coming from? You do realize that is Republicans that are talking about doing that,
Right,
right? That's not Biden. That's not
right.
liberals. You support Trump, and you're saying that the new president in Mexico is like Trump, but then you say it's wrong to invade Mexico. That is
Right.
where that's coming from.
Oh no, I was quoting Mexican president because that's how Mexico is taking it. That's how the Mexican president is
Yeah,
taking it. Well,
because they're
hold
saying
on.
it.
I know.
Because the Trump side of the hour is talking about invading
Let me explain
Mexico.
it. Let
That's
me
where he's
explain it.
getting it from.
Let me explain it, bro. Look, the people that are talking about sending the military to the United States is mainly Lindsey Graham, William Barr, and these two characters, if you remember correctly, they in one way or another backstab Trump in 2019. So it's not like because I don't see them as like they represent the whole Republican Party. These are just two people that are preaching and preaching, and they keep on.
It's more than two, man. Let me just make it clear to you. It's far more than two people talking about bombing Russia. It's more than two. And I
I'm
would
not talking
also
about Russia,
say
bro. I'm talking about
both Lindsey
Mexico.
Graham. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's more than two Republicans suggesting we bomb Mexico. It's not just Lindsey Graham and
Who?
Barr. There's a whole
Who?
lot of them that have talked about doing that.
How many? Give me a more or less number of how many you think are pushing that message right now. Right now.
That's a good question. Yeah, I'm going to say it's over 10. I'd have to look
Okay.
up
That's a
quotes, but I would say
minority.
it's over 10.
That's a minority. And that's not gonna roll because look, I'm not just here to talk about what CNN or Fox News is talking about, right? I hear most people here they come in and they're just repeating what they hear. I'm an analyst. I like to analyze information and I like to play chess. So I like to think towards the future based on how the pieces are being moved. We're trying to see what's gonna happen because
I'm
This is
just
how this
telling you,
works. But
the party you're supporting is the party you're talking about what's right and wrong, and the party you're supporting wants to do the things you consider
right,
wrong.
it's because you know
I'll give
what,
you the
brother.
last word. I got to move it on, but I'll give you the
Hold
last
on,
word.
bro. Hold on. I wanna talk about the there's a psychological operation happening, not just in the States, not just in Mexico, but around the world. And so you have to understand how counterintelligence operations, how black ops, psychological operations work. And this is what I'm trying to explain to you guys. That they've confused the
Yeah,
shit out
you're
of
way
this.
over my head. Yeah,
They've
you're way
confused,
over my head.
bro. But this is what we need to understand moving forward. This is the only way we're gonna be able to make things right. You understand this? I mean,
All right.
all
I
of the
don't
things you're talking about.
listen.
I'm gonna get back to
I
you,
hear
bro.
what
I'm
you're
gonna follow
saying.
you. I'm gonna come back to your life some other time.
Uh,
I'm gonna let you continue. But I think we definitely need to continue this conversation, brother. I'm pro Trump. I'm pro America.
Anytime.
I'm pro AMLO. I'm pro Mexico. I'm pro sovereignty. I'm pro liberty. And you know what? God bless every single one of you. And we have to do things right. No violence regarding what Trump said. That was really dumb because he talked about death and destruction. And like you said, given the history that Trumpers have now, or Trump has given January 6th, it's very stupid that he said that. So I mean, I don't know where he's going with this, but you know, if he's not being control against America, I would say that man, you would think these people are so smart, but turns out they're not. You know, we need to work together to understand.
All right. Okay. All right. I got to move it on, though. All right. Fair enough. I got to move it on. I don't know. Just real quick, I don't know if you can beat all of the things that he just said he was pro Trump, pro Mexican, pro American. Some of those things are literally clash against each other. So I don't know. And certainly, if you're pro violence, Trump supporters are using words, Great Reset, Civil War. I don't know where it goes, but nevertheless, this is a lunch break live. I do have to terminate the live as always. This time, I appreciate the fact you guys are rolling with your boy. You could be anywhere on TikTok. 62,000 likes, always an honor. 11:30 a.m. Central. Catch you guys tomorrow. It's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. I'm out.